Everywhere we look, people are searching for breakthroughs, new opportunities, greater success, deeper fulfillment. And yet, many miss the simplest truth: the greatest investment you will ever make is in yourself. Not in a stock, not in a business, not even in a career, but in you. Because when you grow, everything around you grows. When you expand your capacity, the opportunities around you expand as well. Think of it this way: you are the foundation of everything you build. Imagine trying to construct a skyscraper on weak ground. No matter how brilliant the design, the structure won't last. But if the foundation is strong, that building can rise higher than anyone thought possible. That foundation is you, your knowledge, your mindset, your habits, your resilience. Investing in yourself doesn't mean waiting for the world to give you permission. It's about choosing to read the book that challenges you, practicing the skill that sharpens you, surrounding yourself with people who lift you higher, and pushing yourself just one step further each day. It's about deciding that you are worth the time, the effort, and the discipline it takes to grow. The truth is, every dollar, every hour, every ounce of energy you invest in yourself pays compound interest. When you learn a new skill, you don't just gain information, you gain confidence. When you build resilience, you don't just endure setbacks, you discover new ways forward. When you choose to prioritize your physical and mental well-being, you don't just feel better, you perform better in every aspect of life. And here's the real shift: when you invest in yourself, it doesn't just change you, it changes the people around you. Because the stronger you are, the more you can give. The wiser you are, the better you can guide. The healthier you are, the more present you can be for the ones who need you most. By growing yourself, you create a ripple effect that touches families, teams, and entire communities. The question is not whether you can afford to invest in yourself. The question is whether you can afford not to. Because every day you wait, every moment you hesitate is an opportunity lost. But every step you take toward becoming your best self opens doors that you cannot yet see. So start today. Read the page, practice the skill, take the walk, learn the lesson. The return on this investment will outlast every paycheck, outshine every achievement, and outlive every challenge. Why? Because when you invest in yourself, you change everything. 5 keynotes of the speech: you are the foundation of everything you build. Strengthening yourself strengthens your future. Every effort you put into growth compounds, creating exponential returns over time. Investing in yourself is not selfish. It equips you to better serve others. Skills, habits, resilience, and mindset are assets that never lose value. Choosing to invest in yourself today is the first step toward transforming everything around you. You are the foundation of everything you build. Strengthening yourself strengthens your future. When we think about building a life of meaning, success, or fulfillment, it is easy to focus on the external things: the job, the career, the business, the house, the network of people we know. But none of those things can stand without the person who holds them all together: you. Imagine a house built on shaky ground. No matter how beautifully designed, how modern the architecture, or how expensive the materials, if the foundation is weak, eventually it will crumble. The same is true for our lives. Without a strong foundation, our achievements, no matter how impressive, are fragile. This idea is often overlooked because people are taught to chase results first. We want the promotion before the skill set, the recognition before the growth, the success before the discipline. But lasting progress does not work that way. If you strengthen the person at the center, you create the capacity to hold and sustain everything else. It's like planting a seed in fertile soil versus dry sand. The seed might sprout in both places, but only in healthy, nourished soil will it grow into a tree strong enough to weather storms. Strengthening yourself begins with self-awareness. It's about understanding where you are strong and where you are weak, where you are prepared and where you are vulnerable. Without that awareness, you end up building on cracks you cannot see. The strongest people are not those who pretend they have it all figured out, but those who recognize their gaps and are willing to do the hard work to fill them. That is why strengthening yourself is not just about adding more knowledge or skills. It's also about reinforcing your mindset, your emotional resilience, and your values. These are the things that hold you steady when life becomes uncertain. Consider how often life presents challenges beyond our control: setbacks in careers, unexpected losses, broken relationships, sudden changes in direction. If the foundation of who you are is weak, those storms feel overwhelming. But when you invest in becoming stronger, mentally, emotionally, and physically, you give yourself the ability not just to endure, but to adapt, to rise, and to build again. Strengthening yourself doesn't remove the storms, but it does give you the confidence that you will not collapse under their weight. It's important to realize that every choice you make in strengthening yourself builds the future you are stepping into. When you choose to learn today, you prepare for opportunities tomorrow. When you choose to develop discipline today, you create stability tomorrow. When you choose to care for your health today, you secure energy for tomorrow. Every decision is a brick in the foundation of your future. Many people wait until they face a crisis to realize the importance of that foundation, but by then it's too late to start pouring concrete while the storm is already overhead. The wisest thing you can do is to strengthen yourself now while you are still building. Strengthening yourself also expands your capacity to handle growth. If you think about people who achieve success without preparing their foundation, you will often notice that they cannot hold on to it. They burn out, they lose balance, or they collapse under pressure. But those who take time to build a solid inner core can keep rising without falling apart. It's like climbing a mountain. You need strong legs to keep going higher. The higher you want to climb in life, the stronger you must be at the base. The future is not just shaped by what happens around you. It is shaped by who you become. Opportunities will always exist, but only those prepared to handle them can truly benefit. That is why strengthening yourself is never wasted effort. Even when results seem slow, even when the world does not notice, every ounce of energy you pour into building yourself creates a stronger future. It builds a version of you that can do more, endure more, and give more. And when you strengthen the foundation, you don't just prepare for the life you imagine. You prepare for the life you cannot yet see, the doors that may open, and the heights you may reach. Every effort you put into growth compounds, creating exponential returns over time. This is one of the most powerful truths about personal development, and yet it is one that many people underestimate. We live in a culture that craves instant results, quick wins, and overnight success stories. But real growth doesn't happen in dramatic bursts. It happens quietly, consistently, in the small choices you make every day. And what makes those small efforts so transformative is the fact that they don't just add up, they multiply. Each step builds on the last, and over time the return is far greater than the original investment. Think about compound interest in finance. When you invest money and allow it to grow with interest, you earn not only on your original amount, but also on the growth it has already generated. Over time, the numbers begin to grow at a pace that feels almost magical. The same principle applies to personal growth. When you learn a skill today, it doesn't just serve you in the moment, it becomes a foundation that allows you to learn the next skill faster and apply it more effectively. When you read one book, it doesn't just give you information, it changes how you think, which then influences how you approach the next book, the next challenge, and the next decision. This compounding effect is why consistent small efforts are far more powerful than sporadic bursts of energy. For example, if someone dedicates just 20 minutes a day to learning something new, at first it might not look like much. After a week, there may not be noticeable progress. But after a year, that person will have invested over 120 hours in their growth. Over 5 years, that becomes more than 600 hours of accumulated learning, practice, and refinement. That amount of deliberate investment completely changes who you are, what you know, and what you can do. And the impact of that knowledge or skill is not limited to one area of life. It ripples outward into opportunities, confidence, and influence. The compounding effect also applies to habits and discipline. When you choose to wake up earlier, exercise, or manage your time better, the benefits don't just stay in that single moment. They stack on top of each other. One day of good discipline builds momentum for the next. 1 week of consistency strengthens your resilience for the following week. Over time, your ability to stay consistent becomes second nature, and suddenly you are operating at a level that others may see as extraordinary, even though it was simply the result of daily, ordinary choices. Another powerful element of compounding is that growth often unlocks opportunities you could not have accessed otherwise. At first, your efforts may seem isolated, one course taken here, one book read there, one small challenge overcome. But then they begin to intersect. Skills combine, knowledge overlaps, experiences connect, and suddenly you find yourself capable of things you never imagined. What once felt impossible becomes achievable, not because of one giant leap, but because of a series of small, compounded steps. It is also important to recognize that compounding works in both directions. Just as positive efforts compound into exponential growth, neglect and negative habits compound into exponential decline. Skipping one day of effort may not seem like much, but repeated over time, it creates a deficit that grows larger and larger. That is why being intentional about growth is critical. Every choice either builds your future or erodes it. There is no neutral ground when it comes to compounding. The beauty of compounding is that it rewards patience and persistence. Many give up too soon because they do not see immediate results. They underestimate the quiet power of consistency. But the truth is, the greatest transformations are invisible at first. They happen beneath the surface. Like a seed growing roots before breaking through the soil. If you stop watering the seed because you don't see progress in a week, you never allow the roots to take hold. But if you trust the process and keep nurturing, eventually the growth becomes visible. And once it does, it accelerates in ways you could never have predicted. Every effort you make toward your own growth, no matter how small, is part of this compounding process. A 5-minute reflection today makes you think differently tomorrow. A short conversation with a mentor today changes how you approach challenges next month. A single act of discipline today strengthens your capacity to take on bigger responsibilities next year. Over time, these choices transform you in ways that can feel almost unrecognizable when you look back. This is why the wisest people commit to small, consistent actions. They know that growth is not measured by how much progress you make in a single day, but by how much progress accumulates when those days are stacked together. They understand that the little things compound into the big things, and that investing in yourself is never wasted because the return is always multiplying in the background. What starts as a single drop of effort eventually becomes a powerful current that carries you further than you thought possible. Investing in yourself is not selfish. It equips you to better serve others. Many people hesitate when it comes to putting time, energy, or resources into their own growth because they fear it makes them appear self-centered. They worry that prioritizing their needs, their learning, or their well-being takes away from the people around them. But the reality is the opposite. When you neglect yourself, you limit your capacity to give. When you strengthen yourself, you multiply what you can offer. True service to others comes from a place of overflow, not depletion. Imagine someone trying to pour water into the cups of others from an empty pitcher. No matter how generous their intentions, they can only give what they already have. If their pitcher is empty, they have nothing left to share. But if they take time to refill it, to replenish and restore, suddenly they have more than enough to give, and the giving becomes sustainable. Investing in yourself works the same way. Whether it is improving your knowledge, nurturing your health, strengthening your resilience, or deepening your wisdom, every step you take to grow yourself increases the value you bring to others. When you invest in learning, for example, you are not just collecting information for yourself. You are equipping yourself with tools that can help others. A leader who invests in personal development becomes better at guiding their team. A parent who invests in emotional awareness becomes more patient and supportive for their children. A friend who invests in communication skills becomes a better listener, offering deeper connection. What looks like self-improvement on the surface actually becomes community improvement in practice because your growth ripples outward into every relationship you have. The same is true for well-being. If you ignore your health, your energy drains, your focus fades, and your presence diminishes. In that state, you may still want to give to others, but your ability to do so is limited. On the other hand, when you prioritize rest, nutrition, movement, and mental clarity, you bring energy, attentiveness, and positivity into every interaction. People notice the difference because you are not just showing up, you are showing up fully. By caring for yourself, you extend the best version of yourself to others. Some may argue that investing in yourself is a distraction from responsibility, but in truth, it is a responsibility. When you are stronger, wiser, and healthier, you relieve the burdens of those around you rather than add to them. A person who refuses to grow often becomes dependent on others, unintentionally placing weight on the people they love. A person who grows becomes someone others can rely on. Think of the difference between someone who constantly needs help and someone who becomes the source of help. Both are human, both are valuable, but the one who has invested in themselves is better positioned to lift others higher. Investing in yourself also sets an example. People learn more from what you do than what you say. When others see you take your growth seriously, they are inspired to do the same. A child watching a parent pursue education, a colleague observing a teammate stay disciplined, or a community member noticing someone overcome challenges through persistence. All of these moments spark belief in what is possible. Your investment in yourself becomes a silent invitation for others to rise, not because you told them to, but because you showed them how. There is another powerful truth here. When you invest in yourself, your influence deepens. Influence does not come from titles or positions. It comes from credibility. People trust and follow those who demonstrate growth and resilience. They are drawn to those who embody strength, humility, and wisdom because these qualities cannot be faked. They must be developed. The more you grow, the more your words carry weight, the more your actions inspire, and the more your presence uplifts. That is how you truly serve, by being someone others want to follow and learn from. At the heart of this idea is the recognition that service is not about draining yourself empty. It is about building yourself strong enough to give without collapsing. The most impactful teachers, leaders, parents, and friends are those who understand that their growth is not for them alone. It is a gift to everyone they encounter. By becoming better, they create better experiences for those around them. By equipping themselves, they create opportunities for others. By staying strong, they provide stability in uncertain times. So when you invest in yourself, you are not being selfish. You are being responsible. You are preparing yourself to give more generously, to support more effectively, and to inspire more deeply. It is not about choosing yourself over others. It is about choosing to become the kind of person who has more to give. And that choice transforms not only your life, but the lives of everyone you touch. Skills, habits, resilience, and mindset are assets that never lose value. In a world where external circumstances shift constantly, where industries rise and fall, and where opportunities appear and disappear, the things you build within yourself remain with you no matter what happens. Jobs can be taken away, money can be lost, possessions can be destroyed, but what you carry inside, your abilities, your discipline, your strength to recover, and your way of thinking cannot be stripped from you. They travel with you wherever you go, and they continue to shape the direction of your life long after external things have faded. Think of skills first. Every skill you learn becomes a permanent tool in your personal toolbox. Once you acquire the ability to communicate effectively, solve problems creatively, or lead with confidence, those abilities remain part of who you are. They do not vanish when you leave a company or change careers. They carry forward into every new environment you step into. Skills are transferable, and because they compound with other skills, each one you acquire makes you more adaptable to future opportunities. For example, someone who learns public speaking gains confidence in expressing ideas, and when combined with skills in writing or leadership, the value multiplies. This is why investing in skill development always pays off, even if the immediate reward is not obvious. Habits are another form of wealth that never diminishes. The daily routines you build, whether they are rooted in discipline, focus, health, or productivity, become the invisible structure that supports long-term success. Habits operate quietly in the background, shaping your days and determining your outcomes without requiring constant effort. Once established, a strong habit has momentum that keeps carrying you forward. Someone who develops the habit of reading daily continues to grow in knowledge almost effortlessly. Someone who practices time management consistently reaps the benefits of focus in every project. Unlike temporary motivation, habits endure, and they protect you from slipping backward when life gets difficult. Resilience is perhaps one of the most valuable assets of all because life is guaranteed to present challenges. The ability to face setbacks, learn from them, and rise again is what separates those who survive from those who thrive. Resilience is not about avoiding failure, but about responding to it in a way that fuels growth. Every time you endure a hardship and come out stronger, you reinforce your capacity to handle the next one. This strength becomes part of your character, and it cannot be taken away. A resilient person carries with them an unshakable belief that no matter what happens, they will find a way forward. That belief is priceless in uncertain times, and it makes you an anchor not only for yourself, but for others who look to you in moments of difficulty. Mindset is the thread that ties all of these assets together. The way you see the world determines how you use your skills, whether you stick to your habits, and how resilient you remain in adversity. A growth mindset, for example, turns every challenge into a lesson and every setback into a stepping stone. It allows you to view effort as progress and failure as feedback. This kind of thinking multiplies the value of every other asset you have because it ensures you never stop improving. On the other hand, a fixed mindset limits your potential no matter how talented you are. That is why nurturing the right mindset is as crucial as acquiring any tangible skill. It shapes the way you approach everything in life. What makes these assets unique is that they cannot depreciate. Unlike possessions that wear out or lose value over time, your skills sharpen with use, your habits grow stronger with repetition, your resilience deepens with every test, and your mindset expands the more you challenge it. In fact, the more you apply these assets, the more valuable they become. They are the ultimate form of wealth because they create opportunities rather than rely on them. A person with strong inner assets can walk into any environment, even one of uncertainty, and carve a path forward. When you focus on building these assets, you are securing a kind of wealth that cannot be measured in numbers, but shows up in freedom, adaptability, and influence. It means you are not tied to a single job or a single situation because you know you can create value anywhere you go. It means setbacks are not the end, but simply a detour. It means that no matter what happens in the external world, you always carry with you the tools to rebuild, to reimagine, and to rise again. These assets are your true safety net, and they remain with you for a lifetime. Choosing to invest in yourself today is the first step toward transforming everything around you. Transformation does not happen in one giant leap. It begins with a single choice, a single commitment, a single action that signals you are ready to grow. The mistake many people make is waiting for the perfect time to begin, imagining that someday the conditions will align, the resources will appear, and the path will become clear. But the truth is, there is no perfect time. There is only the decision you make right now to take responsibility for your growth. The first step may feel small, but it carries a momentum that changes the course of everything else. When you choose to invest in yourself, you are sending a message to your future. You are saying, I believe I am capable of more, and I am willing to do the work to reach it. That belief alone begins to shift the way you think and act. You start noticing opportunities where before you saw obstacles. You begin to value progress more than comfort. You start approaching each day not as something to get through, but as a chance to move closer to who you want to become. The choice itself is powerful because once made, it alters the way you see the world. The transformation begins internally, but it never stays contained. The moment you begin to grow, the effects ripple outward. People around you notice the changes in your energy, your perspective, and your behavior. You become more intentional, more disciplined, more inspired, and that influences the way you lead, communicate, and contribute. Suddenly, the relationships around you start to improve, the environment you are in begins to shift, and opportunities that once seemed far out of reach start to come closer. By changing yourself, you create the conditions for change everywhere else. It is easy to underestimate how much one choice can alter the course of a life. Consider someone who decides to read for just 15 minutes a day, or someone who chooses to practice a new skill consistently, or someone who prioritizes their health with a small daily habit. At first, the choice seems almost insignificant, but over months and years, that decision compounds into knowledge, competence, energy, and confidence. Eventually, the person who made that choice finds themselves in a life that looks completely different, not because of one dramatic event, but because of a single choice made consistently over time. Transformation rarely feels extraordinary in the moment. It feels ordinary, but sustained. What makes the first step so powerful is that it breaks inertia. Inertia keeps people stuck in old routines, stuck in fear, stuck in waiting. Once you act, even in a small way, you create momentum. Momentum is what carries you forward when motivation runs low. A single step today creates the possibility of another tomorrow, and with each new step, you build strength and belief. Before long, you are moving in a direction you never thought possible simply because you made a decision not to stand still. The world around you begins to transform because people respond to energy and example. When they see you investing in yourself, they are encouraged to believe they can do the same. Your growth challenges them to rise, your discipline inspires them to persist, your transformation invites them to imagine their own. This is how change spreads, not through lectures or demands, but through quiet, consistent demonstration. By choosing to grow, you create a ripple effect that influences families, workplaces, and communities. There is also a deeper layer to this choice. When you invest in yourself, you expand your capacity for impact. The stronger you become, the more responsibility you can carry. The wiser you become, the more guidance you can offer. The more resilient you become, the more stability you provide for those around you. Growth equips you not only to improve your own life, but to elevate the lives of others. In that sense, choosing to invest in yourself is not just a personal decision. It is a collective one. The better you become, the more good you can bring to the world. Every transformation story begins with a single decision. Not a guarantee of success, not a perfect plan, not a complete picture of the future. Just decision, the decision to start reading, to start practicing, to start caring for yourself, to start showing up differently. That decision may feel small, but it is the seed from which everything else grows. Over time, the seed becomes roots, the roots become strength, and the strength becomes a tree that gives shade and fruit to others. Choosing to invest in yourself today is not about what you achieve in the next week or the next month. It is about who you become in the next year, the next decade, the next lifetime. The transformation is not instant, but it is inevitable if you continue to choose growth over stagnation, learning over comfort, and action over waiting. The moment you decide to take that first step, you change the trajectory of everything. When you look at it all together, the message is simple yet profound. Your life changes the moment you decide to invest in yourself. You are the foundation of everything you build. And when that foundation is strong, your future becomes strong. Every small effort compounds over time, turning into exponential growth that shapes your opportunities and possibilities. Investing in yourself is never selfish. It is the most generous thing you can do because it equips you to give more, serve more, and inspire more. Skills, habits, resilience, and mindset are the true wealth you carry with you, the assets that never lose value and never leave your side. And the first step you take today, no matter how small, is what begins the transformation, not just in your life, but in the lives of everyone you touch. The question is not whether you are capable of change, but whether you are willing to begin. The choice to invest in yourself is the choice to unlock everything else. It is the choice to believe that you are worth the effort, the discipline, and the growth it takes to become your best self. And when you make that choice, when you take that step, you don't just change your future, you change everything.